Honorable Minister Mohammed Shahabuddin, Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bangladesh. Honorable Cabinet Secretary Rosalinda Soypantuya, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Kenya. Sheilaji, Mr. O'Flaherty, distinguished participants and friends. My name is Anju Sharma, and it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the very first Local Adaptation Champions Awards ceremony on behalf of the Global Center on Adaptation. What you see here today is a culmination of a year-long quest to identify local adaptation champions working on the ground and to spotlight their life-changing work on the global stage. This is to inspire and inform similar local leadership elsewhere, but it is also to bring back to life words that are battered so often in these corridors of power that they start to lose meaning. Words like vulnerable communities, climate impacts on the lives and livelihoods of the poor, local leadership, partnerships. As we have heard time and again in this very room in the last week, we can only truly understand what these words mean in the context of the lives of people whose experience and hardships they describe. We had a tremendous response to our call for partnerships for the awards earlier this year, with applicants detailing truly impressive innovations to deal with local climate impacts. It was not an easy job to shortlist 4 winners. So while we present 4 winners here, we've got a whole bank of other inspiring stories that we're working on documenting and we'll share with you in the near future through a new knowledge hub. But before we tell you about the inspiring work of today's 4 winners, I'd like to invite Patrick Verkoinen, the CEO of the Global Center on Adaptation, to say a few words in opening. Patrick.
Well, thank you so much, Anju, for setting the scene indeed. As some of you may have seen, earlier in the week, I also see Vijay at the end, we convened global leaders from Africa, from outside, from the United Kingdom, the Foreign Secretary, Chancellor Scholz, around this adaptation agenda, because we put on the President Ruto, we put on the table the largest adaptation program in the world, not just for Africa, the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, $25 billion over 5 years. So over the last few months, I've been quite, let's say, busy mobilizing these global leaders, traveling to countries. But there was one visit which stood out for me, which really is at the heart of this transformation agenda, which was a visit, Honorable Minister, congratulations with your new appointment, to Mukuru. And Sheila, you told me already a year and a half ago, go to Mukuru. Mukuru is an informal settlement in Nairobi. And the interesting thing is, and obviously like in other informal settlements, there are all sorts of development challenges, but there are also the climate impacts being experienced by these local communities. And where many organizations see those informal settlements as only victims, there are only a few who really see them as sort of agents of change. Well, actually, Sheila, that suggestion of going to Mukuru was the best thing in my sort of professional career, because I met there those communities. They could tell her, you know what, you, Patrick, white middle-aged man from Rotterdam, you don't need to tell me what the problems are, because I know in Mukuru where the floods are. You don't need to tell me where the solutions are, because we know what the solution, we live this on a daily basis. But at the same time, they say, well, actually, we know what the challenges are. We also know what the solutions are. In fact, in Mukuru, they put on the table a people's plan, the people's plan on Mukuru, how to develop by taking the climate lens into account. It's a really extraordinary, iconic example. But they said, well, it's one thing to know what the problems are. It's something else to know what the solutions are. It's something even else to put a plan on the table. Somebody needs to finance this. So there are conversations, of course, with local city leaders, obviously with the government of Kenya. But where are the IFI? Where are the international finance institutions? How do we connect these local communities who know what the problems are and the solutions are to where the big money is? So that is why the AAAP, the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, has put the local community lens not just as a separate pillar. We have 4 pillars, this is the 5th pillar. No, it's cross-cutting. Everything what we do, every euro, pound, dollar, which goes in the AAAP, which goes out, is shaped, influenced, and driven by local community. So that's why I'm so keen to not only have 1 Mukuru or 10 Mukurus, but thousands of Mukurus, not just in Africa, across the globe. So we will launch next month with you, Honourable Minister, with the government of the United Kingdom, a global hub on locally led adaptation. And what is it? Basically what it is basically examples, models, and what you have told me, Salim, 4 years ago already, make sure that whatever you do with GCA, go with local communities to scale and go to speed, because that is what we need to do. And that's precisely what this global hub on LLA is meant to do next year. So now on this, why we're here today, first of all, I want to recognize Anju. Anju is, I mean, I'm just speaking as the head of the organization, but Anju is the one who is driving this agenda. Anju is the one who came up with the idea of the global hub. Anju is the one who has driven the award idea. But Anju was also the one who knocked on my door not so long ago. He said, we have a problem. We have this award ceremony. We put it up on our website, but the website is down because 2.3 million local communities applied, put in their ideas. So it's not just the Mukuru and the 4 winners here. There are hundreds of thousands of local communities who are in this business, so to say. So it's extremely important that we take this award ceremony today, recognizing leadership of those who need to be recognized, but also see it as a starting point, as a revolution in this agenda. So I'm very keen here to join you in this endeavor, but please make sure we as GCA are fully behind this locally led adaptation, not just lip service, but at the end of the day, it is money on the table which needs to flow to those communities living on the front line. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Patrick. We're grateful to the UK government for their kind support of our work on LLA. And we have with us today Mr. Ken O'Flaherty, who is the COP26 Regional Ambassador. And I'd invite him to say a few words, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to be here and to be supporting this important awards ceremony and, of course, to be congratulating the winners in due course. I hope you all know that locally led adaptation has been a top priority for the UK's COP26 presidency. And I can say now that our presidency is over, it will remain a priority for many years to come. In fact, there is an event happening right now at the UK Pavilion specifically on this question of locally led adaptation and trying to showcase again progress and communities affected by this since COP26, including, we're pleased to say, new endorsements to the principles for locally led adaptation. And I have to say, having talked about this in my role as COP26 Regional Ambassador for 2 years, it's great to see the new momentum which is emerging in this subject, including here at Sharm el-Sheikh. But I'd like to focus my remarks on Bangladesh. It's a country close to my heart, one that I visited twice in my tenure as COP26 Ambassador for Asia Pacific and South Asia. And it's a country which has shown for many years leadership at the global level on adaptation, and one with which we're very proud of the partnership that we have built as the UK government. FCDO, our Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, Bangladesh, is really pleased to be supporting this specific activity as part of our partnership, both with the GCA and the government of Bangladesh. And we want to work together to accelerate action on adaptation and resilience and reward those on the front line for their amazing efforts. So this awards ceremony is important in highlighting what good locally led adaptation actually looks like and sharing those experiences globally. It's really encouraging that we had so many proposals from so many different communities and that the website had over 2 million visitors, showing that there's plenty of examples of good locally led adaptation on the world. Our partnership is also working to mobilize more finance for locally led adaptation and also to share knowledge, to share information and share data on locally led adaptation to help planning, implementation and of course monitoring. Our partnership with GCA is part of our overall bilateral climate and environment program launched at Glasgow in COP26 last year. This program will help deliver a more climate resilient, less carbon intensive and cleaner Bangladesh. With a proposed budget of £120 million, the program will provide a comprehensive approach to the country's adaptation, energy, environmental management and climate governance challenges. It will help communities cope with a variety of climate impacts through nature-based solutions. It will increase the share of renewable energy in the country's energy mix. And it will reduce pollution and the generation of hazardous waste from key industrial and municipal sources, as well, of course, as delivering greater investment, evidence, and leadership for climate action. I'd like to quote just a few examples of the achievements so far. Through our partnership with the GCA, we've launched the Global Hub on locally led adaptation, which Patrick mentioned earlier. We've initiated global awards for locally led adaptation, and we're supporting journalists in 5 countries to upskill on climate adaptation reporting. We have conducted pilot projects to test the feasibility and the profitability of increasing the percentage of renewable energy in the national energy mix. And we are very keen that those pilots are scaled up in the years ahead. And we're preparing to start work on the ground in 2 ecologically critically areas of Bangladesh to protect globally important biodiversity and support local communities to build resilience to climate change. So I look forward to continued collaboration with the GCA, with our partners, with communities on the ground, and to seeing more joining this community to drive more effective and sustainable adaptation centered on the local people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. O'Flaherty. Finally, before we get to the awards, and we'll get there very soon, I promise you, we couldn't be joined here by the chair of the GCA board and 8th UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, but he sent us a video address that we are delighted to play for you now.
Good evening and welcome to the Local Adaptation Champions Awards ceremony. I'm delighted to join you virtually to celebrate the groundbreaking work of local communities around the world to build resilience to climate change. The devastating impacts of the climate crisis are being felt much sooner than we had predicted. And it is the poorest on the front lines of climate change who suffer the most harm. As climate change accelerates, we need to find new, more effective ways to minimize the negative impacts among these vulnerable communities. One of the best ways to do this is to support local governments and communities themselves to identify and implement the best solutions that fit their specific local circumstances. There is much we can learn from each other as communities galvanize efforts around the world to build their own resilience. First of all, we can make development plans more inclusive. Also, we can leverage financial solutions more efficient and support the needs of communities to decide for themselves what solutions make the most sense. Locally led adaptation should be at the center of our approach as we combat the accelerating impacts of climate change. Local champions can lead the way. In 2022, the Global Center on Adaptation launched the first ever international award on locally led adaptation to reward local pioneers in addressing climate change. The awards highlight the inspiring locally led solutions, providing people with the tools they need to fight the climate crisis. They are innovative, they are groundbreaking. Today, we celebrate these local champions and the enormous potential and creativity that communities can bring to develop and implement solutions at local scale for global resilience. We hope that these awards will inspire you all to continue your work, to share your solution and find ways to improve or to spread it further. My warmest congratulations to all the winning teams.
Time now to introduce the champions of this evening. As you saw in the opening video, we had 4 categories in the awards based on the 8 LLA principles. These were financial governance, capacity and knowledge, inclusive leadership, and local innovation. The winners were shortlisted first by a technical advisory group, and some of the members are present here. Thank you for your work. And then chosen by an eminent jury that, in addition to our CEO, Patrick, included Her Excellency Rania Al-Mashad, Minister of International Cooperation of the Arab Republic of Egypt, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, GCA Board Chair and 8th Secretary General of the UN, Saima Wazid Patel, Thematic Ambassador of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, and Sheila Patel, Director of the Society for Promotion of Area Resource Centers. I should say here that each of the award winners will also receive a cash award of 15,000 euros, which in the spirit of the principle of flexible and devolved finance for LLA, we hope will support them further in their work. And we really look forward in a year's time to hear back from them on how the award money was used. But moving on to the awards, let's start with the financial governance category. As you know, finance is the biggest enabler, but it's also currently the biggest obstacle for effective local climate action. And our winners today have demonstrated how a strong partnership between governments and civil society can help make finance not just available when and where it's needed, but also more effective at targeting needs.
Battle extreme weather. Their livestock and communities are at risk of severe drought. But in remote locations, pastoral communities too often do not have the funds they need to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Without the networks or the know-how, financial support is what communities need to drive change. Meet the winners of the Local Adaptation Champions Awards in the Financial Governance category. Adaptation Consortium. Their County Climate Change Fund involves the whole community to access public funds so they can choose solutions that work in their own context to fight the impacts of climate change. Adaptation Consortium, acting on the future we want.
I'd like to invite the Honorable Cabinet Secretary Rosalinda Soipantua, Ministry of Environment and Forests, Kenya, to present this award, Madam, please. Yes, yeah. I invite Victor Orindi to receive the award on behalf of the Adaptation Consortium and to say a few words.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of the Adaptation Consortium, that you know brings together government, civil society organizations, and the communities who are affected by climate change, we want to say that we are humbled and feel honored to to have been conferred with this award, this invaluable award that we feel is going to inspire us to do more, to work more with the communities and ensure that their voices count as we decide on where and what to use the money for. As we move forward, we've heard from the CEO that we need to do more. And for us, we take this award as a challenge to engage more with strengthening systems and processes that may ensure that those who are affected by climate change really make decisions over those resources. So with those few remarks, I say thank you very much, and we look forward to engaging further with you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. Madam, can I invite you to please also congratulate the winners?
Thank you very much. It gives me pleasure to join you, distinguished guests, partners, ladies and gentlemen, during this auspicious occasion of awarding and celebrating our local adaptation champions here on the sidelines of COP27. I am aware that the winners we are celebrating today underwent a rigorous process of screening and review by the Global Center on Adaptation and a group of experts on locally led adaptation. I therefore wish to join the GCA, countries, institutions, and communities represented here today in congratulating the winners in each of the 4 categories on inclusive leadership, knowledge and capacity, financial governance, and local innovation. On behalf of the government and the people of Kenya, allow me to convey our special congratulatory message to the Adaptation Consortium for emerging winners in the financial governance category. It is a good example of what a true partnership between government, civil society organizations, communities, and development partners can achieve if they work together towards a shared vision. Their work on devolved climate finance, which designed and piloted the County Climate Change Fund, CCF, has demonstrated the benefits of ensuring that the voices of climate vulnerable and marginalized are heard and count when making decisions over how climate finance is used. Stronger involvement of local communities in the management of CCFs has yielded pertinent and sustainable adaptation investments, more so in the 5 arid and semi-arid counties of Garissa, Isiolo, Kitui, Makueni, and Wajir of Kenya, where this work started. The GCA Awards are about inspiring and motivating innovative and potentially scalable interventions. As a country, we are already taking forward many of the good practices and lessons from other work through the government-led, World Bank-supported financing locally led climate action, FLOCA, program, among others. We hope that more partners can join our national level efforts to provide adequate resources to finance the priority adaptation interventions identified by our local people. And we look forward to bodies like the GCA that are concerned with brokering knowledge on locally led adaptation to working with and nurturing innovations like the ones we are celebrating today at a more deeper level in order to bring about more transformative impacts across many parts of the developing countries. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations once again to the winners of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. In the second category, local innovation, the winner is Community Development and Advocacy Forum Nepal. The organization. The organization's groundbreaking work in managing cycles of drought and flooding through traditional watershed management techniques has helped to create a major shift in the economies of villages in Nepal and to ensure safe drinking water while securing livelihoods.
In Nepal, severe floods and drought cause havoc for farmers who rely on their crops for food and income. Rainwater runs off the hilly landscape, devastating farmland and crops and washing away valuable soil critical for healthy harvests. Launched by the Global Centre on Adaptation, the Local Adaptation Champions Awards celebrate those taking action from the front lines of climate change. Meet the winners in the Local Innovation category, the Community Development and Advocacy Forum, Nepal. By introducing tested water conservation and management technologies respectful of the environment, they supported communities to shift from cultivating only one crop a year to 3 crops a year, harvesting more nutritious food for their families and community, while restoring ecosystems, especially during drought, and empowering women. Women make up 60% of participants in all process and outcomes of projects. These successful techniques have been in use for decades. They are climate-friendly, environmentally friendly, locally sourced, and directly linked to the green economy. The Community Development and Advocacy Forum, Nepal. Acting on the future we want.
I would like to invite Dr. Prem Narayan Khandel, Secretary, Ministry of Forests and Environment, Nepal, to present the award. And also Mr. Yagdev Yadav and Sushil Dakal to receive the award on behalf of the Community Development and Advocacy Forum. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Honorable ministers, distinguished guests. First of all, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the distinguished jury and well-wishers who considered us worthy for this award. In fact, if your trust and faith in us were not strong, we would not be here today. Now, with regards to adding more on this, it is certainly a matter of pride being awarded the first prize on Local Adaptation Champions in the category Local Innovation through the global competition funded by GCA and organized by DAI. We feel we are acknowledged with our hard work and results of nearly 1.5 decades, of which CDAFN has been engaged in the local-led nature-based solution. Meanwhile, the opportunity to participate in the 27th COP being held in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, is another pleasure for us. We are very grateful to His Excellency, Honorable Secretary of the Government of Nepal, Forest and Environment Ministry, Party Head for COP27 from Nepal Government, Dr. Prem Narayan Khandel, who has shown us support and good wishes in this process. We feel very proud to receive this honor under his leadership in the presence of other Nepalese government representatives and heads and representatives of development partner organizations. Meanwhile, if the local government and local community who support us in these efforts and achievements are not appreciated, it will be unfair and unjust. Therefore, without any more explanation about our innovation and best practices, we would like to dedicate this award to the victory of the local community who unhesitatingly led this process with major responsibilities and requested us for technical facilitation during the whole process. Finally, I would like to express our gratitude to our GCA, DAI, who considers us worthy of this award, and also request for your support and cooperation to develop and expand these achievements in the similar areas and community of Madhya province of Nepal. Thank you and namaste.
Mr. Kandale, would you like to say a few words?
Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, on behalf of Government of Nepal, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the GCA, juries, UK government for selecting Nepal, particularly this community development and advocacy forum, which is very innovative, local NGO. I know this NGO from last decades, and we are supporting in many ways. Thank you for your support. And you know that Nepal is a vulnerable country because of its geology and socio-economic context. Therefore, it requires adaptation. Adaptation is the top priorities of Nepal's government in policies and institution. We are really institutionalized the local-led adaptation. Today, I talk many times that Nepal is the leader of locally led adaptation or community-based resource management. So many countries can learn from Nepal because we have very good policy in place. We have very good priorities, and the government of Nepal is giving top priority for adaptation. So this is the example that how Nepal is adopting, endorsing local lead adaptation principle. So this is the example that community-based adaptation forum, I forget many times the name, so has shown, because they are working in very fragile landscape of Nepal. The most fragile, Nepal itself a very fragile mountain landscape. But this part they are working is most fragile, very young mountain. So that is the example, integrated watershed management system. They integrated all the component of the watershed. They are conserving land, water, livelihood, biodiversity, and all. So this is an example that Nepal can show or can reveal its commitment about the locally led adaptation. But the issue is scaling up, because they are working in little bit small area. The scaling up is very much important for Nepal. So that is what we are doing. So I congratulate for the community-based advocacy forum, and for your very remarkable work, very innovative work you are doing. I know I visited many times this place. I was the province secretary in that region. So I congratulate you, and you make Nepal very proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kandale. Now, in the third category, capacity and knowledge, the winner is Swayam Shikshan Prayog, India. SSP have pioneered a 1-acre model to empower women, support food security, and secure livelihoods.
In Maharashtra, India, water-intensive cash crops like soybean and sugarcane deplete water resources, which are precious during drought. In the knowledge and capacity category, the Swayam Shikshan Prayog's women-led climate-resilient farming model supports women as innovators to become powerful leaders in agriculture and grow food for the family, as well as for income. When women are supported to take better farm decisions, they choose to grow local cereals, millets, pulses, and vegetables with natural farm inputs. These cash and food crops help them earn an income and improve their diets and harvests to make farming more sustainable, improve family nutrition and the environment, to support communities as they adapt and build resilience in the fight against climate change. Meet the winners of the Local Adaptation Champions Awards from the front lines of climate change. in the knowledge and capacity category. Swayam Shiksham Prayog, acting on the future we want.
We're really sorry that we couldn't have some of those women who've actually led the work on the ground here present today. But Sheilaji, could we please ask you to come forward and present the award? I'd also like to invite Upamanyu Patel to receive the award on behalf of SSP and say a few words.
So, distinguished ministers, guests, and so today I feel very proud and also fortunate to receive this award. And this is on behalf of the women from the Maharashtra communities. They are the real champions and role models to achieve this award or to get this recognition for Swayam Shikshan Prayog. And also I am more fortunate and proud to say that Sheila Patel is a founder of Spark along with Prema Gopalan of Swayam Shikshan Prayog. Unfortunately, we lost her in March. So I joined as a young engineer in 1993 earthquake and continued working with Swayam Shikshan Prayog under guidance of Sheila Tai as well as Prema Gopalan. And we are working with around 3 states, 20 districts, more than 2,000 villages. Basic work is in women empowerment and focusing on agriculture, water sanitation, health, and entrepreneurship, and especially focusing on women leadership. So we keep women as a center into any program, and they work across the sectors. So, and we cannot see them as a beneficiaries. So they are the mere decision makers, educators, and teachers for their own communities to resolve the issues of their community. We are just facilitating them. Once again, I thanks for GCA, DI, and all the people who presented here while receiving the award. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. Sheilaji, I know you had to recuse yourself from this category because of your affiliation, but please do say a few words, maybe also your experience in being a jury member.
So there were 2 people who I have been very closely associated who were in the finals, and I had to recuse myself from being there, and I'm delighted that despite that, Swayam Shikshan Prayog got this. Upamanyu was 27 years old when he joined Prema and me in the Latur earthquake in 1993. Salim, this is the story of disaster to development. We went there. There was a World Bank financed assistance program. We argued with them that it is not the engineers, but the women who have to transform and retrofit their homes. He was one of the engineers we recruited to teach masons how to retrofit the house under women's things. And out of that came Swayam Shikshan Prayog, which was it was a rural part of Spark. It became so big that we registered it as a separate organization. And Prema, who is also a founder of Spark, we lost her earlier this year. But for Upamanyu and me, this is a complete and total, it's like our, it's what we give to Prema for what she has done. What is important? There are 3 things that are important for what Swayam Shikshan Prayog has done. The first thing is Latur and Usmanabad, where this program started, is a traditional drought-prone area in which there's further deterioration because of all the cash crops. We grow soya bean and sugar cane in this wretched environment. We know that it's very difficult for the men in the family to give women an opportunity to do something. And so Prema's idea was just give them 1 acre of land. Don't give them anything more. Let them do whatever they want. And what these women did is they ended up producing organically grown vegetables and staples, first for their family, and then are in the process of producing market delivery. But their most seminal work was that during the COVID period, they fed their district because there was a curfew that didn't allow any transport to happen. And because the volume of food that they produced was more, they developed a seed bank. And now they are providing seed, organic seeds, to emerging organic farms in the area. And they have single-handedly, with the support of SSP, been invited by 3 state governments to come and do this model where they work with the local agriculture colleges and do that. So this is wonderful for us. It is a fabulous story in our work on, starting from loss and damage to transformative development. So thank you.
Thank you, Sheilaji. So in the 4th category, inclusive leadership, the winner is Rangamati Hill District Council, Bangladesh. The council is the autonomous government body responsible for the governance of Rangamati Hill District in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. After water resources and arable land were destroyed by landslides in 2017, the Hill Council worked through the climate change resilience committees with indigenous communities and majority female representation to address acute water shortages in the aftermath.
Bangladesh is on the front line of the climate crisis. Drought, landslides, and flash floods result in food shortages every year. Millions are at risk of drought. Without clean water to drink, some resort to dirty water, causing disease in communities. Women and girls walk for miles to fetch what water they can find. Rangamati Hill District Council is taking a stand by empowering women to design and implement their own solutions, like the installation of a water well powered by solar energy, which provides communities with clean drinking water for their families and to water their crops and livestock without having to walk long distances. The initiative is designed by the community and led by women. Meet the winners of the Local Adaptation Champions Awards from the front lines of climate change in the inclusive leadership category. Rangamati Hill District Council, driving change and building resilience, championing voices of the marginalized to empower the whole of society in the fight against climate change, acting on the future we want.
I would like to invite Honorable Minister Mr. Shahabuddin, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bangladesh, to present the award, and Arinendru Tripura to receive the award on behalf of the Council. Arinendru, will you say a few words?
Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, actually it is an historic and great moment for Rangamati Hill District Council. You know, Rangamati Hill District Council situated at southeastern part of Bangladesh. An international award was given to the Rangamati Hill District Council for their good works for the community level in the remote village in Rangamati district. I would like to express my gratitude to the people of Denmark who funded on this project to through UNDP Bangladesh. Also, I would like to express my thankful greetings to the GCA who choose our project to give us a recognition. Same as I would like to appreciate Ministry of Chittagong Hill Tracts Affairs, Ministry of Forest, Environment and Climate Change, UNDP Bangladesh, DAI, those who help us to come here and join in this event. It is good to know that these projects got one prize money. I think community will decide with this money what they will do. Thank you to all.
As you've already heard, the government of Bangladesh is a key strategic partner for the GCA. Our office and the Global Hub on Locally Led Adaptation is based actually in the Department of Environment in Dhaka. And as an important partner of on this LLA journey, I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister to congratulate not just the Rangamati Hill District Council, but all the winners on our behalf, sir.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, and very good evening, you all. It gives me a great pleasure to be here today to see local leadership from an indigenous community from Bangladesh being recognized on the international stage. I would like to thank His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, 8th UN Secretary General and Chair of the GCA Board, and Professor Dr. Patrick Parquijan, GCA CEO, for inviting me to this important award ceremony. Excellencies and dear participants, as you know, the people of my country are at the forefront to the war against climate change. Every day, poor people are affected by floods, by droughts, landslides, salinization of our soil and water, increase in the incidence of disease. They are often forced to abandon their homes and livelihoods and migrate, putting even more pressure on our already overburdened cities. Places like the Chittagong Hill Tracts, where today's winner under the inclusive leadership category come from, are particularly badly affected by climate change. It is especially significant for us that the Rangamati Hill District Council showed local and inclusive leadership to find a solution to their problems of drought and water shortage. They have continued in the Bangladeshi tradition of the demonstrating the power and success of locally led solution. Bangladesh has shown in the past that the only way to deal with local impacts of climate disaster is to empower local communities to lead and act. Our success in reducing the number of mortalities from climate-related disaster is a well-known example. It is no surprise, therefore, that locally led adaptation is front and center in our climate policies, including the newly launched National Adaptation Plan and the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan. The government of Bangladesh is and has always been a champion of locally led adaptation. We therefore strongly support the principle for locally led adaptation developed by the Global Center on Adaptation. It was with the blessing of our Honorable Prime Minister, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, that the GCA received the mandate to establish a global hub on locally led adaptation in Bangladesh. The GCA regional office and the global hub is hosted by the Department of Environment of my ministry in Dhaka. As expressed by Honor, Prime Minister Honorable, we are very keen to share our experience on effective locally led action with the rest of the world and to learn from other countries. I would therefore like to thank the UK, whose contribution made the global hub a reality. At the same time, I invite other development partners to support the government of Bangladesh in ensuring that whenever and wherever climate impacts strike, there are local leaders like the Rangamati District Council to support poor and vulnerable communities overcome them. Finally, I would like to congratulate all the winners of the prestigious Local Adaptation Champions Award and cheer them on to continue to lead from the front lines. Our new world reality needs local heroes like them. Thank you all.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you. I think that announcement deserves another applause because Bangladesh just endorsed the LLA principles. Thank you, Minister. We're very grateful. So on this LLA journey, I think for many of us, a key mentor and guide has been Dr. Salim ul Haq, who is, he's the director of the International Center for Climate Change and Development, but also a senior advisor for the LLA team at the GCA. And we're ever grateful for his guidance. So I'd like him now to just say a vote of thanks. Please, Salim.
Thank you very much, Anju, and good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here today for me to see the fruition of something we've been talking about for a number of years. And I'd like to thank Patrick and the GCA, Anju in particular for pulling this off, the FCDO for the support you've provided to us, and the government of Bangladesh and Kenya as well, who are represented here. And most of all, congratulate the 4 winners of the prize this year. But we heard there's 2.3 million more out there. So next year, we need to up our game, Patrick, all right? Not just 4 winners, we need to be capturing a lot more of them. The desire to do this, the ability to do this exists out there. We need to be capturing it, we need to be tapping on it. So I'd like to thank all the organizers, DAI, who were involved in managing the process. Thank you very much. And it gives me great pleasure to be able to give this final vote of thanks to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Salim. So congratulations to the winners again. If you're interested in hearing more about their work, they're going to be part of 2 events on Monday. We have an event at the GCA Pavilion between 4 and 5, and then we have actually an event where we have the winners of the Catalytic Grant Awards by GRP and ICAD between 6 and 7, I think it is, yeah, in the LLA Hub. So please do come for these events and hear more about their work. And finally, I would like to invite the winners and all of us, please, and also Tine from Denmark. I think this is as much a victory for the donors who funded the work, the governments who supported the work, and of course the communities and the NGOs that supported. So we'd very much like you, please, to come outside for a family photo. Or maybe we can just do it here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.